I want to be the first artist to win a Nobel Peace Prize.
Having a goal of winning a Nobel Peace Prize is something I had never heard from any other music artist or rapper for that matter. As a matter of fact, the only musician to have won a Nobel Prize is Bob Dylan, who was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2016 for, quote, having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. But if there's anything I know about this musician, it's that he's anything but ordinary. IDK, when mentioned, just adds more questions than answers if he's being introduced to a rap fan who isn't too aware of who he is.
IDK stands for ignorantly delivering knowledge. I'm a Gemini. Ignorance and knowledge, two opposite things. That's just who I am.
If there was one question to describe the majority of people's thoughts on him, it would be how. All for different reasons. How did he get the trademark for IDK? How did he get the Instagram handle for it? How does he have features with MF Doom dating back to 2017, as well as a J Electronica feature? How does he get all these brand deals, amongst them being Guess, Credit Karma, Nike, Mercedes, and a partnership to teach at Harvard University, all without ever having a song even chart, let alone a hit single? But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The surprising thing here is, the more answers you get, the less it makes sense. For instance, let's take the Guess deal. I was in Yellow Springs, Ohio with Dave Chappelle and Talib Kweli, and I met Menia. She was in the car with me, and I was playing her the early drafts of the album, and she loved it so much that she was like, "You're going to be a star." She used to work at Guess, so she was just like, "Yo, you should meet Nikolai, who basically runs Guess," and she plugged me with him. This answers the question, but it sparks multiple other questions. One of which is, how is he with Dave Chappelle and Talib Kweli in Yellow Springs, Ohio of all places? If there's one thing that he tries to make clear, when asked about a music video for one of his newest songs, Radioactive, being shot in London, it's that none of what he does is forced.
With me, I wouldn't say I'm inserting myself into anything because it's organic. That's just what it is. I just happen to have like a life where I'm a bunch of different puzzle pieces put together to make one thing. You know, like if you really explain my life to somebody and how I grew up and where I come from, it sounds like a lie almost, because it's like, how were you, how did you live in the middle class neighborhood that was in the hood or surrounded by the hood? And then you went to all these different schools in Pittsburgh and Maryland and Kentucky. That's really because I was being bad. And then you somehow went to prison, but then you somehow got out of prison and went to college, and then you somehow got from college to becoming a rapper, and then you somehow went from rapper to really good at business within the rap game, and then you know, getting these features and all these different things that don't make sense on one album, and then you teaching a class at Harvard. That's just a result of my life, man. I used to fucking paint cars. I used to do tattoos. I used to get in trouble, you know, with the law. I used to go to the lecture halls and try to study and make something of myself. My parents just happened to be from Sierra Leone and Ghana. I just happened to be born in London. I just a bunch of different things that's really a part of my true life and who I am. And it reflects in my music and the things that I do, you know? So it's never a thing of inserting myself. It's honestly just a thing of organically connecting with shit that, like, because of how I grew up.
My first introduction to IDK as a rapper, where I actually paid attention other than possibly just hearing some song once, was with his 2017 release of I Was Very Bad, being done through Adult Swim. How? An independent rapper who had yet to get any big official cosigns other than touring as an opener for Isaiah Rashad, getting an album released through Adult Swim rang all the alarms of industry. When explaining how that came together, the creative director of Adult Swim had already seen and tweeted about his prior album Empty Bank, which had a song titled Adult Swim. I didn't know him at first, but knew he worked at Adult Swim. I was like, "Yo, I really like Adult Swim." He said thank you, and we just kept in touch. So when the idea came about, I was making my album sounding like Adult Swim, not thinking about him or thinking about trying to hit him up. I was just thinking about the project. But I remember he said, if you ever want to drop a visual with us, let me know, so I always kept that in the back of my mind. So when I came up with the idea, I hit him up. It sounded fishy, but it made sense. In the years following, he would come to carve himself into the niche and respect of a non-mainstream quote-unquote lyrical rapper, with efforts like his mixtapes IDK and Friends 1 and 2, as well as his debut album in partnership with Warner Records, Is He Real? But slowly transitioned out of that label that was put on him to take risks and make new music which his old fans would criticize, his last album Simple being a complete dance record that was far better than the attempt that Drake made with Honestly Nevermind, still incorporates elements of rapping, but far less than what the traditionalists wanted him to continue doing.
I know that it happens. I don't really care about, like, I don't make music for, like, these people that consume my music. What I do is I make music that make me feel a type of way, and if it happens to make you feel a type of way, then it's for you. But if it doesn't, that's okay. And if it's like, I like this old album more than this album, that's okay too, you know? I might like Channel Orange more than I like Blonde. I don't even think I could really say that, but in reality, I might like more songs on Off the Wall than I do Thriller, but Thriller's a better album.
One element that stood out to me and others is his ability to put together conceptual albums and creative rollouts. As information continued to roll out with his new album F65, which this time is supposed to be centered around a racing theme in Formula One, I knew it couldn't be forced. The star logo that he's using for the album cover looks like a mixture of the star from the Ghanaian flag and colors resembling the flag of Sierra Leone, as well as that neon green that he always has. Both countries that he's from, and what he cites as one of the first times he truly experienced gratitude.
Yeah, when I first went to Sierra Leone, I saw how people were living, and I saw the true, honest meaning of poverty. I think I don't think we should turn our back on poverty in America, but it ain't the same as poverty overseas, you know? It's like people are dealing with like way worse situations, you know what I'm saying? Like in America, you can kind of panhandle your way to a meal. Out there, it's like if you don't got no food, you don't got no food, you know what I'm saying? So it helped me realize like how to have gratitude for being here, because I thought I was gonna get sent to Africa because I was bad. I used to get in trouble, and that's the thing. Like when you get in trouble and you live in an African household, one of the biggest threats is they're gonna send you back to Africa to live until you get it together. So I was like happy to even come back, you know.
The theme of race for the album is a double entendre, both for the actual racing of cars, but the race of people, and creating a conversation around inclusion in Formula One.
That's what I love. My ultimate creation will always have juxtaposition in it, somehow, some way. And that's to create conversation, dialogue. Because I think in this world, in order for us to become better, we have to have dialogue, you know? That's why I support certain artists, certain people. Certain people you may not like, or they maybe should be canceled for this and that and the third. I may not even agree with the shit they may be saying, but I always agree with the creation of dialogue, because when someone can speak the truth to you, you at least know how to counter it to make things better. But if you don't know the truth, you have no clue how to even be better or avoid a problem. So that's kind of what my shit is. It's just like creating music, creating art that creates a conversation through juxtaposition. Why is that? Why every time you do something with your brand, why is there a random lime green somewhere? You know, what is that about? That lime green is to create a conversation. My name IDK creates a conversation. Why is your name I don't know? No, it's ignorantly delivering knowledge. Now we're having a conversation, and when we have a conversation about it, you're more likely to remember it. But if we don't have a conversation with it, you come to your conclusion in your mind, you might not even care. You didn't put no time to understanding it. You put time to understanding something, now you have an experience. You have an experience, you have something that sticks to your mind. That's how I look at shit.
The question of how arises once again because in the lead up to the album release, he had a sponsored collaboration with Mercedes, AMG, and designer brand Lanvin, and the brand race service building out a custom Mercedes AMG 190 Evo 2 for him to tow behind a Maybach GLS for his first ever Coachella performance, sitting atop tires and having his shoes changed in the same manner a race car's wheels would be changed during competition. Nike shoes, of course, for his deal with them. But this all made sense. the photography, the video teasers leading up to the event and album, all a part of one big body of work. That watching and learning from an artistic director at Dior helped sharpen his artistic sword when delivering new projects.
Who really changed my life was Kim Jones at Dior. Seeing what a real artistic director does, hanging out with him in the studio, his version of the studio, working on clothes, asking my opinion on certain things. It let me know that there's a whole entire world when it comes to design, but it also let me know there's a whole entire world that we're not taking advantage of building as artists. So this next album is more of an artistic direction project where there's certain design elements attached to it, there's certain art elements attached to it, there's performance art, there's actual physical art, there's my photography that's a part of it now, that there's my music, you know, which is the main thing. But now when I deliver albums, I'm delivering entire worlds moving forward. I'm no longer just about to give you an album. The first time I really did it was with Simple, with connecting with Lee Bolin, or Bolin Lee, who did the artwork, and then connecting that to Dries Van Nine, which is my favorite brand, you know what I'm saying? Like, and putting that shit together and creating an element and a sound and a feeling, you know, with that. That was a small baby skeleton version of what is about to happen with F65.
IDK has never had a platinum record, never had a song chart on the Billboard Hot 100, despite being in the music game for over 8 years now, but never shies away from gratitude. So why is it that rappers who have had all these accolades and more still complain when something small doesn't go their way?
I learned that, and I learned it through music, because it's just like, the problem with artists, man, I gotta say this, y'all are so used to everybody sucking your dick all day fucking long that when shit don't go your way, you act like babies. That's most of y'all niggas. Like, I have to be quite honest with y'all, and it's time for niggas to grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not gonna get every single thing. The greatest part about that too is when you don't get something, you got the opportunity to get it the next time. But are you gonna put in the time and the work to learn what the fuck happened wrong and get even closer? You know? That's really what it be about, man. Like, we gotta like grow up, man. Like, we've been babied so much that we don't realize real life sometimes. And listen, I'm not nobody's parent, so I can't force nobody to do shit, right? It's just my opinion, whatever it's worth to you, you know? I know for me, there's too much great, amazing things happening in life when we go back to gratitude for me to dwell on some of the things that every now and then happen wrong. You get what I'm saying? Or the way that we don't want it to go. Doesn't mean I want to lose, doesn't mean I like to lose. I still want to win every fucking time that I can. But I'm never going to let a loss or a temporary loss get in the way of my happiness when all of these great things are continuously happening to me. And that's what people need to realize. People really need to realize that if you made it in this industry, if you even made $1 million, if you even made $500,000, B, you're so much further ahead of most people in the world. Most people in the world won't even fuck touching it in music, touch it in their lives. Most people. Now we talking about you get the fucking littest job in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's shit that come with it, but god damn, the good shit that comes with it though, versus the bad shit.
As I was listening to this and watching what has been unfolding in his career since I first discovered him, I knew that it wasn't an easy task to organize all of these moving parts. It required a team. Now, was that team a strong manager who put all the pieces and allowed IDK to just do music, which is the traditional approach, and it makes perfect sense? But no, to my surprise, not only did he not have a manager, but he didn't even have someone running the team.
And for me, like, I know every aspect of my career piece by piece, just because I've tried it. I've had firsthand experience with it. When we're talking about cameras, I know way more about cameras than the average artist probably would. When we're talking about business, when we're talking about copyright, when we're talking about like building a team, I have more knowledge than the average artist, you know. Most of the time, when it comes to business deals, a lot of people might deal with me directly, depending on how busy I am or not busy I am, you know? But I think that is like one of the probably key elements to like kind of how I operate, and that right there is like, for me, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know that anyone's ever seen this in rap music right now. There's elements, I'm not saying no one's ever done things like I've done. I obviously get it from people like Jay-Z and, you know, people like even Kanye, people who we know that make really strong moves in business. But I don't think they've ever seen anybody that's hands-on and that's knowledgeable about the aspects of their career, down to the details, the small details. And that's kind of what it is for me in general, and I've accepted that. If you talk to anybody who does business with me, it's almost like I'm two different people. People wonder how I find the time to still elevate my art and then handle shit. And to be honest, I had no choice. I wasn't gonna wait for nobody. I'm never a person that's gonna wait for you. If you wasting my time or taking too long to do something that you say you're gonna do, I would do that shit myself.
That was not only a thought process, but also an action process that we don't frequently see from rappers or artists. There were two things that I gleaned from watching his career unfold over the past 6 years, and that was accountability and gratitude. Two vital qualities, but something we see artists of all levels struggle with. They want to have hits now, and are frustrated, blaming their label for not pushing them hard enough. But with IDK, there was not only the element of accountability, but of radical accountability, taking blame for things just because they represented him. For an artist who's partially known for how he's able to secure these big collaborations and deals, as well as handling his business, I was interested to learn about the money aspect. Going from prison and broke to making a considerable amount of money is life-changing, but how does money change as a priority when you've got enough that you're comfortable?
I don't think I'm ever in a comfortable place. I put my back against the wall. I was telling my team the other day, I have a lot of assets. I don't have a lot of liquid cash. Anytime I have cash, I spend it. I spend it on any asset, keyboard, fucking studio equipment, fucking houses, properties, anything. So it forces me to make money. Forces me to put myself in a place where I'm like, still like.
Being in the music game for long enough and not having a song turn into a hit, despite having made great music, is a pill some can't swallow. The majority of artists, after a long enough period of time, opt to give up on it entirely and relinquish themselves to perpetually being at a certain purgatory, at a certain size, and servicing their existing fans with the type of music they know they want. On the other hand, there are artists who don't just believe, but exude this energy that they know the moment is waiting for them. They don't know when, but they know that it will happen at some point. The majority of artists who have had a hit, it was their breakout hit, how they got popular, how they got signed, and the majority of them, nearly all, weren't ready for what was to come. The requisite experience wasn't there, and perhaps they turn into one-hit wonders and completely disappear in the worst-case scenario. But in other scenarios, they may have successful careers, but complain later on about having been taken advantage of and signing a terrible business deal that left the profits of the hit they received to some other entity.
No, I'm equipped to handle it the moment that it happens. It's just every day that it doesn't happen, I become more equipped. I think I'm the most equipped for it than anybody in rap right now, in general. I think that I'm a very seasoned artist that also controls my own destiny. I run my own shit. I don't even have a manager. I got people that I work with. I got different departments in what I do. I handle all of this shit myself. Not saying I would never have a manager, but I've never really worked on that I need a manager to do this or that for me basis. I've always been pretty self-sufficient my entire career, and more now than ever. So there's nobody that's in my way. The only way I would not be good is if I just turn into, like, randomly start doing crack. If I start doing like drugs or some shit, I could see myself failing. But that's the only way. Like, it's the only thing that could ever stop me. Other than that, I believe I'm more equipped than any of my peers, anybody who's doing music right now, because a lot of them kind of have to rely on certain things and certain elements for their careers to move. I don't rely on nobody. I think that's a very important trait of a leader, you know? One of the things I want to focus on too is just having more patience for bullshit.
A Nobel Prize is something I don't think any of us has ever heard an artist aspire to. A Grammy, sure, and for some, their response might be a chuckle to the idea of a modern artist winning a Nobel Prize. And for logical reasons. It's not something traditionally associated with music. As mentioned, the only Nobel Prize for a music artist was Bob Dylan, and that was for literature. Rap fans in particular have become accustomed to even Kendrick Lamar with his Pulitzer Prize, Grammys, hell, even maybe Emmy Awards. But this award is in a league above them all. And while it is an audacious goal, I can't help but believe that if a music artist were to achieve it, the foundational qualities required would have to be that of gratitude, accountability, and patience.